I remember when I saw the plan, I saw the breakdown of how it worked. It's like, at the time, my brother drew it, and he drew, you get 6, they get 4, they get 2, and they're all running a few hundred PV a month, which meant like $1,000 in products each, and then you earn $60,000 a year. And I saw that, and it didn't make any sense to me at all because I didn't understand comp plans, and I never understood that comp plan until after I quit. And I looked back and I said, "Where's all this money?" Oh, from the audio, from the audio, from the audio, from the audios, right? My point is that a lot of you, and a lot of you I've talked to this weekend, you've come up to me, right? And you've said, "What do I do?" And I've told you, and then you've dodged around it, right? And come back looking for something else because you're avoiding work, right? You're avoiding it. You're avoiding what you need to do. Because how many of you know it's a little bit different, going from $15,000 a month to $30,000 a month than it is going from 0 to $15,000 a month, right? It's a little bit different, right, Chris? Going from 0 to $15,000 a month is actually much more work, right, than going from 15,000 to 30, than going from 30 to 100. It's like 100 times more work. Now, no matter what your business is, it's more work. Going from 0 to that first 5,000 a month is the most brutal thing that you will ever do in your business, right? I could lie to you and I could say, "Oh, it's going to be easy, just send a few emails," but you don't know how to build a list, right? You don't know how to make capture pages. You don't know how to get leads every day. You don't know how to talk to people when they're responding, and you got to figure everything out while you're doing it, right? And sometimes you're going to have to work way longer than you think that it is because you're avoiding work, right? You're avoiding it. You're avoiding what you need to do. Quit, and I looked back and I said, "Where's all this money?" Oh, from the audio, 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 from the audios, right? I saw that. I was like, here are all these losers going to college and working all day at jobs and listening to their boss and following advice, and they're doing this thing, and here I can just go get 6 people. I know 6 people. That's like the easiest thing in the universe. Everybody would want to be in this. Who would be stupid enough to not get in? Who could be atrociously dumb enough to not join, right? Instantly. And so what I did was I just went out and started talking to everybody I ran into. And I was like, "Come to my house for a meeting." There's like, "Where's your house?" And I got this little apartment over here. And of course I had no furniture in it, right? And I managed to get 4 people to a home meeting. I got out a whiteboard. I tried to explain to them why they should get in. And they all sat there like this on my floor. They didn't have any furniture, right? So I was sitting there in a suit and a tie because I'd just been a missionary, and I wore the same suit that I wore in my mission for 2 years. It was totally ratted out and worn down. Some of you have been missionaries, you know what I'm talking about if you're Mormons, right? And so I was wearing this old ratted out suit that I'd had for 2 years because of course I couldn't afford a new one, and I had a whiteboard that I'd bought at Costco for $15. It had a leg that was a little bit broken, and I sat there for 3 hours trying to explain something I totally didn't understand because I was like, if you don't get in this thing, you've got to be stupid. Right? That's what I thought. Now, why they didn't get in perplexed me for years because you're avoiding work. Right? You're avoiding it. You're avoiding what you need to do. Quit, and I looked back and I said, "Where's all this money?" Oh, from the audio, 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 from the audios, right? Right? It's like I'd meet a guy in Walmart, and I'd talk to him. He'd say he'd keep his options open, and then, wouldn't pick up the phone. I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? This is supposed to be easy. You get 4, who get 4, who get 5 or whatever, and then there's 8 million people down there. What's wrong? You should all buy soap from my business downline, Get in my downline. What's wrong with you? Quit, and I looked back and I said, "Where's all this money?" Oh, from the audio, 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 from the audios, right? Well, it didn't work out so well, right? It just didn't. And I didn't make money, and I didn't produce, and I was frustrated all the time. Now, had somebody just told me how brutal it would be to actually make it happen, I would have probably made it happen in 90 days, right? Because I would have just dealt with it. right? Quit, and I looked back and I said, where's all this money? Oh, from the audio, 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 from the audios, right? But I was expecting it to be easy. I was expecting it to be like a walk in the park. Like I go outside, take my shoes off, and start walking in the beach with the ocean coming in as commissions are rolling in, as I'm not doing anything because I got five who got five who got five, and there's 8 million people down line, right? The reality is, though, that I had to come to grips with after a long time of failing, a long time. And I want you guys to think about this because I don't ever want you to go through it, right? I had to take responsibility for my skills, right? For my skills, for my ability to influence people, for my ability to get people to join. Independent from a company, independent from a product, independent from whether my upline was doing meetings or not, for whether they did three-way calls or not, independent from whether I had a script book or not, whether I had a presentation, whether the company gave me a capture page. I had to take responsibility for my skills, right? I had to be in charge and say, I'm the one. I'm the one who's going to do this or not. Me, right? Not Chris Rushlow, not my Amway Diamond, you know, not my upline, not my company, not because I got in at the top. How many of you got in at the top before and then you didn't make any money? I have, several times. I was like, the company's just starting, woo! I'm going to be rich, right? It's a great pitch in hotel rooms. It's like, we just started yesterday, you know, you got to be in at the top because we just started it yesterday. And if you imagine this big pyramid with all these people, you're getting in at the top. Well, it would work better if they told you you had to create that big pyramid by yourself. You know what I mean? You've got to go lift those 10,000-pound rocks, you know what I mean, and build your own pyramid, you know what I mean, like the Egyptians, right? It's a little bit more work, ain't it, than getting in at the top of the pyramid. It's not just a matter, it's like an eagle picks you up like a gigantic bird or something and carries you to the top of some gigantic pyramid in Egypt. That's about how likely that is, right? What's your likelihood of getting rich in direct sales or network marketing ever, if you don't learn how to do it? 1 in 8 billion. And I say that because I don't think there's that many people in the world. You're not going to get rich. You're not going to make money. You are not going to make money if you don't learn how to do this. And the reason I joined it is because my friend Eric joined it, who's a famous network marketer, and I got to be in his team, and I got to be in at the top. That was the real reason I joined. The real reason I joined that company, true story, they did a hotel meeting in Hawaii, and I brought my brother to the meeting, and the company founders were coming to Hawaii. Okay? They flew down to Hawaii. I went to this little meeting in Honolulu somewhere. I can't remember the name of that hotel. It's the one connected to the big mall. You know what I'm talking about? Right? Down in the middle of Hawaii. Somebody had rented out this massive hotel room, bigger than this, filled the whole thing with chairs, and there was 4 people in the meeting. 2 of them were me and my brother. That's called a dumbass expensive mistake, right? Now, I went there, and now most people would look around and they'd say, I'm out of here, right? They won't even walk in. That's probably why we only had 4. Probably 8 showed up, and 4 of them kind of looked in and said, nope, awkward. But I sat down, and the presenters weren't that good because they were company guys, and they were trying to explain why these gel vitamins were going to be great. But here's what I said. I was sitting forward, and I was leaning forward, and I looked around, and there was nobody in the room, and I said, there's nobody in this thing. I'm getting in at the top. Right? Now, the funny thing about getting in that thing that I learned was I got in at the top, right, and still made no money. And I saw Eric Worre go from a team of 0 to 60,000 people in like 90 days while I was making no money. I saw him go to 20,000 a month, 40,000 a month, 100,000 a month, and 150,000 a month while I was making no money. I saw people who joined at the same time as I did, who started making 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, and 30,000 a month while I was making no money. And after maybe a year and a half of seeing that, I kind of had to do the difficult thing, right? And that was to look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm the one not getting results. Right? Now, how many of y'all know, like, in your deal, whatever it is, right? A lot of you are in my team. How many of you know if you're making $4,000 a month and someone else is making 50, right? It's not because they were lucky. You guys know that? How many of you know you are not going to get rich by sponsoring a Vic Striz house or a Darren Little or a Dave Wood or a Chris Rushlow? Because we won't join you. Right? I was grown from the ground up. I started at zero. Most of the Dave Woods that you'll ever sponsor, they're nobodies right now. Right? So you got a choice. You could go with the whole like attraction marketing philosophy that's like, you know, sponsor only leaders. I only sponsor leaders. It's like, okay, how many people are that? 1 in 1,000 people in direct sales, so you're missing the other 999. I don't know how you manage to just target this one person that's a leader and magically get them into your organization, because I have 300,000 people in my team. It doesn't work that well. Right? Paul, growing from the ground up. Chris, growing from the ground up. Right? All the leaders that you see in this room, we started at zero. Somebody had to mentor us. Somebody had to get us in when we were at zero. Right? When I started online, you could say, oh, well, that guy got lucky. He sponsored Dave Wood. My sponsor when I got online in 2009, when I first started making money, right? He was at zero and I was at zero. I started at zero with no list, with no influence, with no credibility, without lying to anybody, right? I did what I'm going to teach you to do today, and within 90 days I was making $30,000 a month from zero, right? Quit, and I looked back and I said, where's all this money? From the audio, 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 from the audios, right?